Night auditor. No 13. I used to think hotels were the safest kind of liminal space. Bright at the front, soft everywhere else. A machine that makes strangers into ghosts, and ghosts into strangers. I'm 26. The night auditor at a mid-tier downtown place with too much brass and carpet that eats sound. 2 rules from my GM, Gina. Never go upstairs alone for noise complaints. Call security, and Dawn to use the service elevator after midnight. It sticks between floors, she says. Let it sleep. At 11:37, the property management system decided to be helpful and printed a folio by itself. No room number. The timestamp said 3:13 a.m. I laughed because that's what you do when a building slips a note under the counter. At 11:58, the house phone on the front desk rang. It's the old beige kind with a cord that remembers cigarette smoke. I picked up, said the hotel name, and got the noise you get when you put your ear to a seashell in a dirty ocean. Then a voice, each word lowered into place, like a key in a lock. Don't. Ride. Up. Sir? I said, because a script is an anchor. Click. 11 seconds on the timer. The lobby was a terrarium, all ferns and glass. Outside, the city went reflective. The service elevator dinged once, with no one touching a call button. I put the stanchion in front of it, the way you put a chair under a doorknob, and told the brand standards manual in my head that it could relax. At 12:23, the fire panel flickered. Smoke, 12th F floor. Lobby end, and then cleared before the beeper found its nerve. False alarm, or someone's shower getting optimistic, and breathed and said, in that retired museum voice all cities share, please remain in your room. I called up to 12:01, the corner suite nearest the panel's lobby end. I hung up before it gave me a word. Miguel arrived at 12:41, steaming coffee in one hand, keys on a lanyard, like a trust exercise. Panel blipped 12, I said. Your boyfriend, the service elevator, is doing improv. Also, someone prank called from the ocean. He chuckled and did the rounds metric. If it chirps again, we go together. He vanished into the back office to inventory cones. When I glanced up, the wall mirror caught the lobby and a second me standing behind me a step too close, head tipped as if reading my hairline. I turned. Just ferns and the red eye of the exit sign. Great, I told the air, haunted by revenue management. I set the messages under the paperweight. At 1:03, the panel chirped smoke, 12th Effler, West Core, and stayed up. Busy signal. In 2025, in a hotel, a busy signal. By the ice machine, he said. You hear that? I didn't. He didn't say what that was. The ride to 12 felt like all elevator rides at night. A glass of water you forgot to drink. The corridor lights live on motion. One by one they woke as we walked, always barely ahead of us, as if someone else liked to be the one to switch them on. Smell anything? Miguel asked. Ozone and shampoo, I said. Clean, wrong. We passed it anyway, because I've never seen a D&D sign that wanted to be understood. Not security's heavy hand, not drunk knuckles. We stopped the way you stop at the edge of a pool at night. Our rule says we don't answer knocks on closed doors. On the ride down, the elevator display leapt from a 12 to 13 for one beat and corrected itself. I didn't say the hotel this time. Who is this? Cool. A couple stumbled in from the street, high on laughter and weather, asking if we had a toothbrush kit. At 1:41, the service elevator lit up on its own. 12. It didn't ding. It paused. Miguel and I looked at each other, the way people look when a rule shows you its bones. The elevator returned empty at 1:44. Its floor was wet in a shape, not a puddle. 5 long ovals. I blocked the doors with a housekeeping barrel and said, "Closed. For the night." At 2:06, it spat a new strip. "Stay at front." The elevator, guest, not service, arrived on the lobby without being called and held open with the posture of a breath that plans on being held. Gina's voice in my head, "Don't go alone." I went alone anyway, because people do what the story's shape requires and call it professionalism. The elevator smelled faintly of old perfume, the kind that lives in velvet. The car slid up 10, 11, 12. The doors parted onto a corridor that was not exactly the one I had walked. The carpet pattern repeated wrong. The wall art had been turned to face the wall like a punishment. The exit sign looked hand-painted, the green wrong, the glow too warm. Down the hall, the service door that leads to the mechanical room stood ajar. I stepped out anyway. The elevator waited with its doors polite. The house phone on the wall, there for guest emergencies, rang once and stopped. The sound hung in the corridor without echo, like a bell in snow. "Hello," I said, to wood and carpet. Then the kind of breath that belongs to someone standing on the other side of a door with their forehead against it. The doors started closing, as if called by another finger. The doors reopened onto a corridor that was shorter and wrong at the edges, like a forgery. One framed print, an innocuous watercolor of a bridge Ivy dusted 100 times, now showed the bridge submerged up to its arches, paper buckled as if damp. I hit lobby, like that would save me from a decision. The door open button threw a red error beep. In the mirror, not me leaned to whisper to the back of my neck. "Don't ride up," the elevator speaker said in a voice that didn't belong to speakers. "Trying," I said, and smiled at nobody, because that's how you avoid screaming at strangers. The car chose. It went up. No floor numbers, just that floating dash. The doors opened a hand's width, and then, very slowly, all the way. The carpet was threadbare, where footsteps never are. One door stood at the very end, without a peephole, without a number, painted the color of old bone. A "Do Not Disturb" tag hung from its latch, handwritten in careful block letters instead of printed. The air tasted like old soap and coins. I did not step out. It stopped at the threshold of the elevator, like a pet begging the line. My fingers closed on thermal paper, damp as skin. "Don't send elevator." The edge had the little ladder of a printer tear and a timestamp that refused to move off 3:13, no matter how long I looked. "Okay," I told everything. "I hear you." The 2 knocks came one more time, not from the door, from under the car, right where a head would be if a body were lying on the track beneath an elevator you shouldn't have taken. I pressed lobby the way believers cross themselves. The elevator listened like a dog, deciding which name to answer to. It closed. It sank. Numbers returned. 12, 11, L. The doors parted onto Gina's ugly carpet, and the world where exit signs are regulated. Miguel stood by the brass trash can, like a man deciding not to ask a question. "Smoke clear?" he said, not looking at my face. "False alarm," I said, because some lies prevent bigger ones. We sat out the last hours inside the safe shape of reception, letting the printer spit once, stay at front, then go still. At 3:13, every monitor blinked for a heartbeat and returned with a faint smear in the corner, like a hand had practiced being air. "Mostly," I said, and slid the mystery strips under my blotter where paper goes to be believed later. In the afternoon, when it was safe to show curiosity, I asked an engineer about the missing floor. He said what they all say. We renumbered in the 80s, cheaper than convincing insurance. He added, with a shrug, that he still counted the stair landings when he carried things. There's always a space that doesn't bill right, he said, and laughed like it wasn't a truth. I transferred to days within the month. I tell people it's better for my circadian rhythm. Sometimes it dings once, at 3:13, and waits with its doors almost closed, the way a mouth waits for a word. I don't ride after midnight. I don't stand in the center. When I pass, the panel briefly shows 13 like a superstition that learned electronics. Held breath, if a do not disturb tag. I don't he own swings gently on the hook by my door. I read the little hotel rules card I keep in my wallet like a saint medal. Stay at front. Don't send elevator. Don't ride up. And when something taps twice in the shaft, very polite, very patient, I let the car go by.
If you survived this far, leave your like to prove you are not afraid.